So let's talk black sheep. Let's get serious. What is a black sheep? So, a black sheep, in the definition that I use, is somebody who doesn't feel like they fit in within the environment that they are trying to. Now, predominantly, what causes issues is the family environment that we grew up in. We have associated or identified or labeled ourselves as an outsider, somebody who feels disconnected, who feels different, who feels like they'll never be accepted. There's this real disjoining. That's not really, I don't know if that's a word. And ultimately, what that can do is, if it's not dealt with, if it's not released, if it's not discussed, if that's not integrated in and understood in the mechanism of actually how it is existing, then it can perpetuate and it can grow and it can feed and it can cause a lot of issues in us as adults, from things such as depression to anxiety to physical aches and pains. It can also lead to self-sabotaging behaviours, which can be your standard ones, such as alcoholism, drug abuse. It can also come up in ways that you might not be aware of, such as procrastination. It could be the fact that you actually don't voice your opinion. It could also be in the sense that you have this real desire to do X, but you never allow yourself to do that. You don't allow yourself to have fun, or maybe you party too much. So how this destructive belief of being a black sheep embodies itself in you is going to be very, very different. It could also show up in relation to your relationships, toxic relationships, attachment styles. It's going to manifest in an over obsession with the gym for some reason. Sorry, a bodybuilder just popped into my head. But it's going to manifest in you in a unique way. Now, this isn't, being a black sheep isn't necessarily a problem. Some people won't ever identify with that. Others will love it, wear it as a badge of honor. But the reason I use this as a tag to get people to, in essence, understand why working with me is useful is because the problem comes when this association with this tag is causing you damage. And what we want to do is we want to break that association so that you don't have to identify with the label of a black sheep. You might choose to still, but ultimately what you're doing is you're taking the energy that you're wasting, that you're using to fight, to push, to pretend, to cover up, to manage, to control, and you're going to take it back to yourself, and you're going to redirect it out into a positive direction. You're also going to bring back a lot of self-love to yourself. So you're going to be ultimately setting yourself free. Because I bet if you're identifying with a black sheep and you are still listening to this video, then you struggle with elements to do with self-worth and self-love, and you will probably punish yourselves in ways that you don't even know you're doing, because you're desperately trying to understand why you are not loved, why you're not accepted. And ultimately working with me is going to help set that energy free, because all it is a trapped, integrated energy that needs to be set free, and that belief needs to be managed, to be reconstructed, and then we need to set into place mechanisms that are going to allow you to move forward so you don't go backwards back into self-sabotaging behaviors. So I use a mixed modalities approach, predominantly energy medicine, but I also work in relation to things like CBT and NLP and some coaching techniques. But ultimately I'll get down into the real nitty-gritty of actually what it is that is bothering you, and you might not know. And this is where I come in, because I offer that intuitive reflection, and then we go in and we work on those elements that are really causing you issues to make sure they don't have to do that anymore.